Soil aeration is a crucial process for plant health. As seen in this diagram, aeration increases air, water, and nutrient supply to the roots, resulting in stronger and deeper root growth. Good plant growing conditions typically involve 25% air, 25% water, and 50% solid components in the soil. Compacted soil significantly reduces air content, and poorly drained soil increases water content, both leading to poor aeration. This table compares the typical composition of soil air and the atmosphere, highlighting the main components: nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. Soil air is as vital as nutrients, water, and temperature for plant growth. Its composition is similar to atmospheric air, primarily N2 and O2. However, the concentration of O2 is slightly less, and CO2 is several times higher in the soil due to root and microbial respiration. Under reducing conditions, oxygen can be depleted, leading to the formation of methane, hydrogen sulfide, and ammonia. Soil air generally has a very high relative humidity, nearly 100%. Its composition is dynamic, varying with soil moisture, temperature, depth, and biological activities. Soil air is important for several reasons. Oxygen is required for the respiration of roots, microbes, and soil fauna. CO2 helps increase nutrient availability, and N2 serves as a substrate for nitrogen-fixing bacteria. A constant supply of O2, at least 10%, is essential for normal plant growth. The composition of soil air is continually changing due to O2 consumption and CO2 release. Various factors influence this composition, including soil physical properties, the crop grown, tillage practices, organic matter content, biological activities, and the season. Soil physical properties like texture, structure, porosity, bulk density, and moisture content significantly affect soil air. Soils with bigger pores, such as sandy soils, promote rapid gas exchange. Soil compaction and high moisture content restrict gas diffusion, leading to reduced O2 and increased CO2. Respiration by plant roots and microorganisms is a major factor in O2 and CO2 variation. The addition of organic matter, such as manures or crop residues, also affects soil air composition. Microbial decomposition of these materials decreases O2 and increases CO2 concentration. Growing plants tend to reduce O2 and increase CO2 due to root respiration and associated biological activities. Tillage generally increases the speed of gas exchange in the soil. Shallow tillage encourages CO2 in the topsoil compared to deep tillage. The season affects soil air composition primarily due to changes in temperature and moisture. In the rainy season, soils typically have lower O2 and higher CO2 than in the dry summer. CO2 increases after rain due to increased organic matter decomposition and slower gas exchange. Soil aeration is the exchange of O2 and CO2 between the soil pore space and the atmosphere. This process replenishes O2 and prevents CO2 accumulation. Gas exchange is a natural process involving two mechanisms: mass flow and diffusion. Well-aerated soil contains sufficient oxygen for root and aerobic microbe respiration, allowing oxidation reactions to proceed at an optimum rate. This helps prevent oxygen deficiency and carbon dioxide toxicity in the soil air. This illustration shows how soil aeration helps in the movement of water and nutrients into the soil, promoting healthy root development. The two main processes of gaseous exchange are mass flow and diffusion. Diffusion is the predominant process for the renewal of soil air. Mass flow occurs due to a total pressure gradient, moving the entire mass of air from higher to lower pressure. This can happen from the atmosphere to the soil or vice versa, driven by meteorological factors such as temperature, pressure, wind, rain, or irrigation. Mass flow is influenced by temperature. Temperature gradients, which can arise within the soil or between the soil and atmosphere, create pressure gradients. According to Charles's law, this drives the movement of gases. Mass flow is also affected by pressure. According to Boyle's law, changes in atmospheric pressure cause corresponding changes in the volume of soil air, leading to movement of air between the atmosphere and the soil. Rainfall and irrigation displace soil air to lower depths. Conversely, when water is lost, air moves from the atmosphere into the soil. High wind causes pressure and suction effects, which facilitate gas exchange, mainly restricted to the surface soil. Diffusion is the movement of individual gas constituents due to a partial pressure gradient. When CO2 partial pressure increases in the soil air, CO2 diffuses out to the atmosphere. Similarly, O2 diffuses into the soil when its partial pressure is reduced by respiration. Diffusion increases with temperature. Fick's law of diffusion states that the flux of a gas is proportional to the concentration gradient. Flux is the amount of gas diffusing in a unit time across a plane of unit area. The coefficient of diffusion depends on the soil's texture, structure, and moisture content, and the rate increases with temperature. Under dry conditions, diffusion is higher in fine-textured soil, but under moist conditions, it's higher in coarse-textured soil due to more air-filled pores. Soil aeration is primarily affected by the volume of macropores, which determines the total air and gaseous exchange. Factors like texture, structure, compaction, and soil depth influence macropore volume. Coarse-textured soils generally have better aeration than fine-textured soils. Soil aeration status can be characterized using methods like chemical analysis, air-filled porosity, air permeability, or diffusion coefficients. Oxygen diffusion rate, or ODR, is considered the best method for characterization. Oxygen diffusion rate, ODR, measures the rate at which O2 is replenished. An ODR meter is used for this measurement. The critical value for ODR is 20 multiplied by 10 to the power of -8 grams per centimeter squared per minute. Adequate aeration is considered to be at least 30 multiplied by 10 to the power of -8 grams per centimeter squared per minute with at least 10% O2 concentration. This scene is intentionally left blank. Soil aeration can be managed by improving soil structure to increase macropore volume. This can be achieved through the addition of organic materials, green manuring, growing lagoon crops, and avoiding crusting and soil compaction. This scene is intentionally left blank. Drainage is essential for managing soil aeration when the soil is saturated due to water. Surface or subsurface drainage decreases moisture content and provides an aerobic environment in the soil. Cultivation, especially shallow cultivation and interculture operations, helps in gas exchange, particularly in poorly drained soils. Breaking a surface crust with light cultivation can improve aeration. For deeper layers, planting deep-rooted crops or subsoiling is beneficial. Increasing soil temperature generally increases ODR and microbial activity, raising CO2 production. Mulching can protect the soil and retain tilth, but its effect on O2 partial pressure and diffusion is situational, sometimes restricting aeration by keeping the soil moist. Some plant species are adapted to oxygen-deficient soils by developing mechanisms like increased root porosity or internal aeration. Selecting appropriate crop species is vital for waterlogged or poorly drained soils. For example, rice thrives in submerged conditions, unlike maize. Soil aeration can be managed by regulating the respiration of roots and microbes through fertilization, cultural practices, plant population, and organic residue incorporation. Crops with lower O2 requirements or shallow root systems are suitable for areas with surface aeration.